So hi, so this is my seventh video set. This will be related to air intakes. This will be the final part in this sort of external modeling. And beyond, so I'm going to have there'll be a break between this and the next videos I do, because this is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm at the point where I've completed the external part. I need to start working on the internal stuff, do some planning where things are going to go, etc. Once I've done the key components to that, which would be things like the servos and the wings and the tail planes, the retracts, anything that's probably in the external parts, because they're more space restricted. Whereas, okay, if in one area that I can't quite put a servo in the fuselage, I can move it somewhere else, so I don't have as many problems. Once I've got to that point, where I've laid out the key parts within there will be key parts of the fuselage, like the turbine, and some of the other components as well. Then I'll do the wings and the tailplane. Once I've done that, then I can create another model, which is basically a solid version of this, which will be then cut up into pieces and used for 3D printing. And while I'm printing that, because that'll take quite a long time, I can then continue on the internal structure for the remaining internal structure for the wing and the tailplane, and then the internals for the actual fuselage. And hopefully when we meet, kind of coalesce, and I finish the printing, I'll have finished the internals for the model, and then I can I can finish the internals for the model, and then I can actually start working on going into the workshop and start putting this together in real life. Okay, so anyways, let's get on with this part. So basically, I don't have I would say, a perfect method for doing this, and the main reason is the profile that the air intake isn't necessarily the profile that it's going to match when it goes and touches the fuselage, because they could be very different. One could be circular, one is a little bit more square. So basically, I've got a method which I'm going to use today to show you. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just find two suitable planes to start the air intake. I'm going to use this one. Okay, and then where I'm going to finish it, that one. So these are going to be where I'm going to start and where I'm going to finish. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sketch on the first plane. I go to the front, and I'm going to go crazy and do some really cool air intake design. Let's do that again. Okay, so not really worried about the inside part. It's mainly this part here. So now what we can do is actually just move this about a bit. So I want to kind of puff it out there. Let's just do that again. The air intake is a really key feature that's going to, not does it only feed air into the turbine, but it adds how the aircraft's going to look. Okay, so that's the first part. Now, I need to join this somehow, extrude this down to here, okay? But if I turn on my sketches that are in the down around this area, not that one, not that one. So that's the end sketch, okay? Then I go to the next one. Because I lofted between here and here, I didn't have another profile that I can loft this to, which leaves me in a bit of a predicament. So I messed about and I played about, and I realized there's actually something really simple you can do, and I like this method that we can use later on when we come to making ribs, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to sketch on that plane. We're going to create a square. Doesn't really matter how big it is. Okay, so then what we're going to do is take that square. We are going to extrude it by 1 millimeter. And it's just going to be new body. Okay. So now we've got this big square. It looks a bit silly, but what we're going to use is this is for cutting. So we're going to go to split body, and the body to split is the square. The splitting tool is going to be the fuselage. Okay, let's try that again. So we're going to split body. Splitting tool is going to be the fuselage. So if we're going to remove this part now we're left with an internal part, which we're also going to get rid of, hopefully. And we can join all this back up later anyway, so it's just giving us a point on the model that we can work with. So we're going to turn the sketches back on. Take this sketch. We are going to extrude that. No, we're not, sorry. We're going to loft it. Take this. Let's try that again. Didn't work. Let's try it again. Okay, so the first one is this. Right, now that's worked, I think. So we don't want it as a cut, we want it as a new body. We're going to hit OK. So you've now got your air intake. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this new body, here. Okay, so actually before I do this, I'm just going to start another video so we can do the last part to it.